When eating a meal at a restaurant, there are a few countries in the world where it's pretty much compulsory to leave a tip, such as USA, Canada, Mexico, Poland, and a few others. But then there's countries like Japan where it's considered offensive to tip at all. But what about Australia? Tourists that come to Australia are told they should never tip here because we're paid a good wage. But as an Australian myself, I see people here tipping their waiters quite often. So I went out to the streets of Brisbane to ask both servers and diners if a blanket no tipping rule is acceptable here.
When you eat at restaurants in Australia, do you ever tip? Do you ever tip the server extra, like 10% or 20%?
Depends where you're eating. If it's a casual dining restaurant, then not usually. But if it's a nicer restaurant, you probably should tip them a little bit.
Would you ever tip the server?
Probably not in Australia.
I think if they have a service charge, then it's kind of accepted just not to tip. But if they don't, it's like if they do something amazing or you have a connection with the wait staff or whatever, that's when you usually tip, yeah.
No, generally not, to be honest. I mean, if I've gotten really, really good service, and look, partially it's also because of the fact I'm not working full time at the moment as it is, so if I had more money to throw around, maybe.
No, not really. I don't mind tipping because generally it's upon what a service is required. And if you think they do a good service, go for it. Why not? They deserve that. They worked hard for that tip.
I've witnessed people give tips. I've received a tip before. They're only like 50 cents, but I've received a tip.
Yeah. My partner has to donate her tips.
She's not allowed to accept tips?
Not allowed to accept tips. Has to donate it to charity in store.
Have you ever come across anywhere in Australia that has expected you to tip?
I haven't, no.
Not really. So the waiters and waitresses don't really pressure you to do it. They love it. Like I do a little bit of waiting here and there myself, and I wouldn't mind it, but I'm not going to pressure anyone into doing it. I'm getting my hourly wage as it is.
I've been asked to.
In Australia?
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you?
No.
Right. Why not?
Because we get a really good salary as it is. But when I travel, I tip all the time.
You've never been pressured into a tip sort of thing?
Definitely not.
Not really, never, yeah. Even I work at a restaurant just down the street, and whenever someone tips, it always feels like something special. It's something above and beyond in Australia. Yeah.
Cool. So I'm just asking for any foreigners that are wondering which situations they should tip in Australia.
Yeah.
So do you think a blanket rule of just never tip, is that okay?
Yeah, or only tip for special circumstances, because it carries more weight, I guess. Yeah.
Cool.
And there you have it. Tipping is definitely appreciated and won't be rejected, but you can rest easy knowing we make a good wage. Speaking of tips, here's one for you. You should definitely subscribe to this YouTube channel. In Australian culture, it's actually considered incredibly offensive to get to the end screen of a video and then not subscribe. I might be lying about this, but it might be best just to play it safe and hit subscribe.